Where's your mic? About 3 weeks ago, we had a real bad storm. Y'all remember when that came? Did it hit here too? Anyway, I was out taking care of the chickens, and I had turned one of the chicken tractors sideways, the wrong way. At least that's what my boss said anyway. I was out trying to get the chickens food, and we got this real high wind, and it was just swirling around and swirling around and swirling around. And I was next to this tree, and the chicken coop was on the other side of me because we were right here. And the limb of this, a big, huge piece of this tree came down, and it fell right down in between me and the tractor and just busted up. And I knew that God wasn't ready to take me home because he wanted me to still be here, or otherwise he would have. The way it was, it was raining so bad, it was like sheets of rain coming down. And here I was out in it, and then later on the deputy sheriff came by and told Laura we were in 90 miles an hour wind, and here I was out in the wide open. So, God is not, he is always going to be there for us one way or another.
Amen. Right.
If he takes us home, we get to go to victory.
Right.
Yes.
If we stay here, we're supposed to be out witnessing, because there's so many people that don't want to know him, don't know him, and there's so many little kids that need to know him.
Yes.
Because if we can get in their hearts Christ, how much better will our world be? Because they'll start treating each other like you're supposed to.
Amen.
Yes.
God never said because you were this so-so or you was that so-so. That is not of Christ at all.
Right.
His heart was for everybody.
That's right.
He doesn't care where you come from. He does not care what color you are.
That's right.
He doesn't care about your gender.
That's right.
He cares about your heart and your personal relationship with him. And I very much stress every one of you to have that personal relationship with him, because there is no one better than to tell him who your problems. There is no one better to answer your problems for you. And if you keep your eyes focused on him all the time, and I know how hard it is to do it because I've done it. I have taken my eyes off of God and got them right back on, because he said it was time to get out and do his work. And that's to win souls.
Amen.
Yes.
Right.
And that's not the preacher's job. It's not the pastor's job. It's not the deacon's job. It's not the teacher's job. It's our job. Every one of us. It's
Yes.
our job to go out
Yes.
and get the lost.
Right.
Go over next door. Talk to your neighbor. Tell them about him. If they slam the door in your face, that's on them.
Right.
But at least you went.
That's right.
Yes.
And he has put me in a spot like that before. You all know the Orslin family. The ones that had farming home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I happen to be, I worked for them for 24 years.
Wow.
The Orslin family. And Mr. Bob Orslin came into our plant about 2 years before him and his brother were taken, Barry was over everything, but Bob started taking over the manufacturing part of it. And anyway, I had gotten fired for taking up for a kid. But anyway, what happened was, 2 years after that, God came to me and told me I had to go see him. I said, God, that's not my job. He said, oh yes it is. 3 weeks. And I was heading to go clean a house, because that's what I was doing at the time. I used to be a welder. I was a welder for 15 years at Orslin's. And so it was a big change for me from going to that to cleaning houses, but I knew how to clean houses because my mother taught me. Anyway, we were there, and he said, no, you got to go see him now. He was getting ready to go for brain surgery because he has cancer of the brain.
Mm.
And so he's told me to go and see him. So I went to go see him, and they had just gave him some anesthetic because they were going to operate on him the next day. So I talked to his family. Well, he happens to be married to one of the girls I grew up with. I mean, we were best friends in elementary, and her mother happens to be my spiritual mom. So I went to see him, and I prayed with him and prayed over him, and then the next day he went into surgery. And anyway, it wasn't the next day that I went to see him, but they had me go back. He had me go back to him. And I said, God, come on, I already did what you asked. Don't ask me to do it again. And he says, no, you go. So I went in and I talked to him, and he says, what does she want? His wife did. I mean, he said this to his wife, and his wife said, you really don't know her, do you? And here I worked for him for at least 2 years, and he really didn't know who I was, what type of person I was. But anyway, I did that, and she said, you really don't know her. And I said, well, what I had said to him, because God would go to me and have me give him words. He would have me go to him and tell him what he should do, And he said, whatever. And he never did apply back, So anyway, last March, he kept telling me to go see him again. And this last March. Well, come to find out, Bob had gotten better, and then he got worse, and now he's back worse again, and God sent me to him again. I said, God, I don't really want to go. Do I have to? And he said, yeah. For 3-4 months, I put it off to go see him. She was getting ready to take him and put him in a home, and he sent me to him. So I went in, and of course Beth Ann knew me. Went in and I prayed over him, and his whole person, he knew who I was. And then he hasn't seen me for probably 10 years, probably. But he knew who I was, and so I haven't heard from her lately to find out what's happened to him, where he's at. But I do know that when you go and do what God tells you to do, and it's always when you don't want to go, that he has you go see somebody. And every one of you probably have somebody on your heart that you need to go see. Every one of you. There's not a soul in here that doesn't know, has somebody that God says, I want you to go see that person. And when you go do it, the load will go off of your shoulders, I can tell you. So please get out, because it's up to us to save this world, because he's using us. We're just the vessel, but he's using us to show others him. And when you show love to people that don't feel like they're loved, it's a whole different ballgame, because they finally see what Christ really is in us. Thank you.
Thank you.